G'day, folks. It is AOS Rerolling One's coach.
I like that trademark. I'm gonna trademark that. It's pretty good.
That's for the M&A merger when we all get kind of we come together in the conglomerate that is rerolling AOS. Oh,
Oh,
anyway,
for sure, for
uh,
sure. Hopefully, it'll be better than the WCW invasion. We can do like the re-rolling ones invasion to AOS coach. It'll be great.
Mate, I'm so excited. So it is, folks, for anyone who's tuning in, we have the GW reveals. There's a preview show going to be happening in approximately 10 minutes time. So what better way is to watch the reveal at the same time? The way things work, if you've never seen a GW reveal before, is that Games Workshop will present a concept, 40k, Necromunda, Age of Sigma, I think Underworlds are the four shows they're going to be doing today. They'll do a reveal, have a bit of a video. They will then chat amongst themselves. So Eddie Eccles and I think it's Paul Murphy from the streaming team over in America. They'll talk a bit about the reveal. 10 minutes later, they'll do another reveal, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. So you will not be missing the reveal. We will have it up on screen. I'll turn the sound on. We'll shut up when they actually show off whatever it shows off. And my awesome guest is Jack from Rerolling Ones, where we're going to talk shite. We're going to talk a bit about the reveals and what we see and our thoughts are. And mate, what are you expecting?
So I looked at the little preview. So I am expecting some gits. The last one kind of looked like a moose marine or something like that. So like Bullwinkle, if he became an Adeptus Astartes, and yeah, I'm excited for I'm pretty easy to please. So if you're looking for hot takes from me, it's probably not the best guy because I knew a lot of the talking heads. It's either like, oh, this is terrible or this is great. I'm easy to please. So I'm like, hey, that's pretty cool. And if I don't like it that much, I know there's somebody else out there who likes it a lot, and that makes it happy for me. So I'm expecting gits. I'm expecting Necrons. It look like, and I'm hoping for corn.
Okay. I'm not hoping for corn. I'm being selfish here because I've been building some Slaves to Darkness. I recently got the Blood Secretor and the Blood Stoker because there's some nice little synergy now with the Slaves to Darkness. So if they do corn, they're going to change the keywords and I'll be screwed. So I'm hoping that no, sorry, corn. I'm sorry, but selfishly, I want to have that for at least 6 months.
Yeah, well, as a corn player, I've been on that. I already had, Archeon. He was getting all the buffs. The Bloodstoker was whipping him, which is the bravest Bloodstoker. You're whipping basically the antagonist of Chaos, and you're just an 80-point model. But you're telling him, hey, re-roll your wound rolls. It's gonna be cool.
Yeah, I was talking about that earlier. Like, how on earth can a little Mr. Whippy be whipping Archeon? You got some big grapefruits if you're doing that. But Jack, you were talking earlier about some of the like leading in. They were kind of sharing some photos, right? 3 days to go, 2 days to go. This is the one that I'm most excited about. If that's not Gloomspite Gits, I don't know what it is. Silent People, 40k mushroom heads. Like if that's not Gits, like what is it?
It could be Night Goblins for Old World. That's the only other thing it could be.
There's no old world icon. As much as I would love that to be the reveal, I think we got our reveal. Like it seems like once every year now they're giving us an update to old world.
I'm giving you another option. Obviously, it's Gits, but
there's no reason that's not Gits. But there were other things, right? You had this preview icon, and like, did you have any ideas what that might be?
To me, that reads as corn. But when you have corn, you do have 40k as well as AOS. And so, like, I could see because you have the Angrong links and stuff like that. So it could be more of that stuff. I'm hoping for corn, but yeah, this looks like corn to me.
I was guessing this might be a little bit Necromundery. I don't know the direction and where Necromunda's going, but that gave me a little bit of Necro vibes.
Oh, maybe I was just thinking the little things that are hanging down from the S. Kind of reminds me of some corn things I painted in the past, but now that you mention it, it could be because it can't everything can't be AOS. So I'm trying to how do I get this? Like this is obviously Slanesh for AOS. The book's coming out, so move on to the next one.
Of course, like that robo into the 40k, and they've got a little bit KO.
Yeah, looks like a motherboard in the background. Okay, yeah, this looks like Beast of Chaos to me.
Yeah, this for me was Underworlds. I'm like, all right, hopefully it's Gloomspite Gits for Age of Sigmar. Hopefully this is maybe Beasts or Underworlds of some description. I don't know. But there's a lot of cool things. What's the chat thinking, by the way? Let's go to the chat. Bear thinking maybe it's a Dawnbringer preview. Interesting. We got spiders. Yeah, I would love to see some Gloomspite spiders. If they show some new spider models, I will lose my mind.
I would too. Like, that's the one thing that like Gits. That's the one thing I think they need. Those spider models are, let's just say, dated.
Not the big one, like the Arachnarok's fine.
Oh, yeah,
the small ones, like it's the small ones, and even the hero, the little hero needs to could be some new. If this reveal is just mushroom basing for miniatures, I will riot. I will go play Kings of War. Like, I'll just lose it.
Gonna go to the last Conflict of Kings. What's that game called?
I'll be like I'll be like Lord Tremendous, and I'll go burn my Gloomspite Gits army if it's just mushrooms. Like, oh, we got a new Citadel basing pack of mushrooms. Organic Finecast. What else? Cawdor. Okay, that could possibly be a Cawdor thing. Grundy hoping it might be Umbraneth. You poor Dark Elf players.
Yeah, I think we got a couple years, at least a year before that.
We still got to go. There's a lot of I think spiders there's a lot of books. Like, I was looking actually yesterday on, I want to put a poll up on Discord. I'm like, what do you think the next books are going to be updated? And I went through, there's still a lot of books to be updated in 2023 from like Hedonites to Khorne to Gloomspite, as we've already talked about. Yes, Seraphon. It's funny, even Seraphon and Soulblight, I'm like, they feel like recent books, but they're actually quite old.
Yeah. And I could see Seraphon getting the, paying for the sins of the past treatment, where it's like people are going to be upset when they see that new book. But like, I think a lot of their books have kind of been in that, fat middle, as Vince coined, where it's like, they feel fine. They feel fun.
Yeah, there's some of them like Soulblight I would love. Like reading, I don't know if you had the same thing, but reading the Chaos Knight War Scroll, being able to fight in essentially 2 ranks. The first thing I thought to myself was, I wish Blood Knights had the same thing. I would love to be able to have a big block of 10 Blood Knights who can all fight. That would be sweet. I want a Troll Hag that isn't Forge World. Look, I'm happy to have a Troll Hag, but remake that plastic. That'd be hot.
Yeah, I've been more worried because I really love as a Khorne player, the Galician veterans fighting in 2 ranks, because you have Blood Reavers, you have Blood Warriors, you have Blood Letters, all have been on the table more often. And so, but seeing things where it's part of people's war scroll where you're fighting within a half an inch, I could see that going away. But because if you fight with 10 Blood Reavers, it's not going to change the game. It's so keep that rule. But we'll see. Or give Khorne a special rule, like, Blood Frenzy or something, where if you're in combat, you have that fight within half an inch.
Yeah, you feel that we're on the cusp of the General's Handbook closing out, and Bonds of Battle will disappear, which is going to be sad, but we're going to lose Glenn Veterans, which is, I think everyone in Bounty Hunters is just going to have a massive nah, get out of here. Garrett, there is no schedule. What they've done, all the GW tells us, is there's going to be four or whatever systems they're going to preview. We don't know if they're going to show multiples of the of one system. They could show multiple 40k, multiple Sigma. It's not quite clear, but we just know that in this stream there is going to be, as we said, Necromunda, Warcry, 40k, Sigma, in no particular order. And by the way, just shout out to Daryl. Thank you for joining up as a YouTube member. Much appreciated. I can eat today. Actually, I can't say that. I don't know if you guys saw this, but I actually got my new wrestling belt. I put a little preview short video on. I'm so excited. My wrestling belt. I don't know if you can see it. If I do, where is it? I'll do this one. Whoop. The belt. The belt's there. It's so exciting. I'm new.
Oh, I love the song you used. It's beautiful belt. I got the pleasure of you showing me a little early. I'm excited for that. So, are you going to defend that belt, or are you just kind of the lifetime champion?
Mate, it cost. I think it's a lifetime champion. It cost me an arm and a leg. It's gold plated. It's not going anywhere. I'm not giving it to anyone. Deca saying fighting in 2 ranks for all without bounty hunters. Yeah, I would love to see that as a new rule moving forward. I think it's given, I don't know, Jack, you play a lot of different armies, especially on rerolling ones. Have you found that has helped you with like, just big models on like 40, 50 mil bases that normally wouldn't be able to fight in large ranks?
So 3rd edition, there's been a lot of, a lot of people who've stuck with the game have liked it, right? But I've had problems with people trying to learn the game right away. And like the Galician veteran rule where it's just like, okay, yeah, everybody's fighting within a half an inch. Then rather than teach them about paladins, like, yeah, the guys in the back don't get to fight. And they're like, why not? Well, but it's like, but if I can move my guy over here, like, yeah, then coherency, it streamlines a game that kind of has gotten more complicated. And I really wish they would kind of keep that.
And Stefan, it's meant to start any minute now. So the preview has happened. And Gareth, who is in the finals, and is actually going to be playing over in New Mexico, has just seen it live. So he's not going to spoil it for us, but he's just seen it. So they will kick off any minute now. They're due to kick off. So this is the live stream. So this is literally the live stream.
Is this the Corn Gareth from California?
Yes.
But okay.
Yeah. So this is the live Twitch stream from Games Workshop. So we'll be following it in real time. No, do not spoil Christmas, Sika. I can see you there. Don't be adding and like, oh, tell me, like, let's go through this together. And I think that's the fun part, right? We can be interactive. We can chat. We can talk about what we see. Also, for anyone who hasn't seen this before live, because, like me, half of these happen when I'm sleeping and I wake up. Warcom, after the reveal, will actually show you 3D models. They'll show you different things so you can kind of get a deeper look on the Warhammer community site that I can bring up as well.
Do you know the answer to this question?
I wasn't even reading, mate.
Who is the firstborn heir of King Morlock Velmorn? Oh, I was going to say that.
I would have said C. Who's King Morlock?
Marshall Falk. Marshall Falk is a running back. Oh, sorry. It's true, though. There's Marshall Falk running back for the Rams.
No, it's so close. It's so close. All right. So here is the live stream. Yes, you can't hear because it's muted. I am going to...
Live from the Rock here at Warhammer World.
Cool. So they're going to talk a whole bunch of rubbish. They're going to talk a whole bunch of rubbish. We'll talk a little bit.
I'm doing all right. It's a little bit early.
It is, yes.
So what else are you expecting, Jack? What do you think's coming out? What do you think they're going to preview? Any insights, anything that you would love while I just look at the chat and see what's going on and make sure that this is all working good?
I don't want to break my NDA or anything. No. I don't know anything at all. What we discussed earlier were I think definitely gets something Slaanesh and 40K. So I'm guessing maybe a new what's their Emperor's Children? Is that it?
Yeah, that's the 40K.
I could see an Emperor's Children book coming out, and that Beastman one is what I'm scratching my head on, because we do have one Beastman Underworld's Warband, and so I'm thinking maybe getting another one.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. I mean, like, especially because they've changed the Beasts of Chaos a little bit. Obviously, they saw the Rend benefit and how the Herdstone got rechanged. Then it got FAQ'd because maybe giving 80-point chaff Rend 2 was a bad idea. Who saw that? So maybe they're going to take some of those learnings and get a new book, and hopefully again Bonds of Battle's going to help, like your Bulgor, and they're going to have some new tricks, and who knows? I mean, I'd love some new sculpts. I wonder what the new sculpt would be. They've always got at least a hero, right?
Definitely. Sorry, 1 second. I'm looking at Marshall Falk because somebody asked in the chat. Yeah, Marshall Falk was a running back. He played for the Rams, like I said, and he was actually a real person, but they kind of co-opted the name.
Amazing. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to this because I'm just keeping an eye on this, going, come on, just let's talk more, getting into the good stuff. It's just me. But Jack, how have you found Age of Sigmar in the current edition so far? Are you looking forward to a change? Are you looking for the new GBH? Have you settled in with this particular one? It's been a while since we talked. Actually, we talked right at the start of this GBH.
That's right. So it was interesting. So this GBH kind of coincided with the softer relaunch of Rerolling Ones, and so like I would say for the past 3-4 years, I've been really like I had a balance between Rerolling Ones and competitive play, and so I travel, go to a lot of tournaments, do well in ITC, and like this one, I kind of just focused on the channel, and like you have to really like being good at this game is not an accident. You have to study, you have to know what your battle tactics are. And I kind of just wrote off this season as, I've gone to a few GTs, but not as much as I usually go to. And so I'm actually ready for the new one to come out so I can refocus.
I love it. I was talking to Phil, who's gone over from the UK to play in the GW finals, known for Slaves to Darkness. Actually, we're doing a show next week talking a bit about the new Slaves to Darkness book. And, he's getting like 3-4 games in a week. Like if you want to be, a really top tier player, you play a lot of games, which, it comes as a sacrifice. So credit to anyone who's absolutely crushing that. But as we know as well, running a channel does take a lot of time, whether it's the creating, the editing, the community engagement, all of that stuff, script writing. So it's hard. It's a hard balance.
Yeah. And I'll say like one of the, a lot of casual players and sometimes narrative players will like kind of look at competitive play and not give it the respect they deserve for how much energy and how much effort it takes to be good. Like, oh, he's taking that list. No, you have to do that and study and do all these things. It is like, it's not an accident. You see the same people at the top. But yeah, it is like, so like when I tell like Doug or whatever, it's like these guys know what they're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Gareth asking, do I do community engagement? Yeah, just dealing with you takes 2 hours of my capacity out every week, Gareth. Every week that takes up my time. But no, like it's great. Like I'm really I think one thing I'm excited to hear is when the new General's Handbook drops, because I'm thinking about the Las Vegas Open, and it's really hard to start thinking about that next tournament when you're on the cusp. If it's too late, we're gonna have to play the old book. If it's like if it drops December, you're gonna have to get as many games as possible, write those lists, practice some of those new war scrolls, whatever might be coming. So I'm excited to hopefully there's some new General's Handbook stuff at least.
Yeah, I would like that for me because we'll all be on the same kind of level playing ground if there's a new GHB. And then, because I'm still like, I still go through the little cards to figure out what battle tactic I would do. I'm like, I know against the odds is a pretty good one to start with, but other than that, but I will have to say, my boy Bear beat Gareth, right? And I beat Bear. And so, and therefore, ipso facto, I've beaten Gareth before.
Well, Age of Something, I actually played a game with him on Tuesday while I was traveling on the underside of Australia, and he recently become the WA master, so he is the master of the universe. So I guess I'm also now the WA master. So I'm still waiting for him to send a trophy over to me. But before hopefully this stream kicks off very soon, I have to ask you a burning question: have you used this General's Handbook's command ability, where you can make an opponent strike last? Have you used it? Because I haven't used it and I haven't seen anybody use it. Is it the most useless command that I've ever seen in my entire life?
Well, I'm probably the wrong person to ask because I just haven't been a lot of competitive play because I haven't even used a spell. Oh, we're going.
Of our legion stand cages of hellish brass. Within these infernal chambers, esoteric rituals and torturous augmentations bind an octet of demons to a raging berserker. Finally, the screaming stops and the candidate emerges. It is magnificent.
All right, so I thought that looked like Emperor's Children.
World Eater goodness.
I was feeling a bit of Slanesh at the start, and then boom, swerve corn.
Looks good. I definitely see some really cool models. I've looked into, because I said whatever the next Primarch is, that's what I'll play. And they showed the little snippet of Angrong. I'm like, that's what I said. I said I'd play that, and also I have Corn, so it might be easy. But they look cool. I have limited knowledge about 40K, but yeah. And
Yeah, no, I'm looking at this model, and I don't play 40K either, so I'm not going to be jumping at this particular piece, other than looking at going, what bits can I harvest? And like that's just the 40K. Like I've been harvesting a lot of Black Templar bits for my Stormcast. I'm like, what bits? And like
I was looking at their legs, and I'm like, oh, those legs would be really cool on different models in AOS.
I'm thinking the exact same thing. I'm like, what could I possibly harvest? Maybe not the backpacks or anything, or maybe they could be symbols, but like there's some things in there.
Yeah, definitely beefy. I like it. Like maybe if I want to kit bash some, what are these? I always forget the names. The other kit for Wrathmongers for 10 points. Can anybody get that?
Yeah, what is it? What is it, folks? Come save us. This is kind of nice, actually.
Sculpting?
Yeah, like I'm digging this. I'm going to go to my local bits guy the minute he gets these books. Try to get some of these. I love the feed. I love the chains. I love the weapons. I feel like there could be some possible crossover with the weapons. Obviously, the shoulder pads are just they're 240K, and the backpacks are 240K. But there is some cultist definitely looking vibes here that you could use. Gareth actually nailed it. There you go. That's a good example of using this. If you wanted to use Chosen, if you wanted more of a corn focused Chosen, I like that. That's really cool. Actually, good idea. Bad mood. Go on.
Oh, so I was going to say Alexander Frias got 10 points for saying Skull Reapers. And I'm keeping track.
Love it. 10 points to you, Alexander. The armor is overrated. Look, the armor is definitely a bit more on the 40K side, especially maybe the arms too, where you've got like tubes going through their arms a bit.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying the lower half, like the legs and stuff. Because when you get to like the guns and all that stuff, I'm like, yeah, I'll pass on that.
Yeah, I mean, remove the heads and the arms, and I think we're in a pretty good, possibly Chosen, possibly some type of other. Yeah, I could see that actually. That's a good idea. Yeah, thanks for that, Gareth. Who would have knew I would have had to thank Gareth in this stream? Matt thinks in the chat, the world eaters look sexy. Yeah, definitely. If you're 40K, you're probably loving this. Dude's got a nice pedicure. I love it. The pedicure down here, and there's no tactical rock, Jack. Jack, where is the tactical rock? No, there's no tactical rock. Just check what they got to say.
Equivalent. So whilst the cultists typically follow around various...
Okay, so they've also got some cultists to go along with it. So I don't recall seeing that in the video, but you've also got... I think Jack's lost his headphones. I can definitely hear him from the mic, but his headset might have died. But I'm liking these cultists too. I think they are kind of neat. They're kind of neat. There is still no tactical rock, which is a staple in the 40K universe. But I'm liking some of the icon. I think I really like this particular icon. I can see, again, remove some of these weapons. There are actually some interesting corn cultists, at least some of them, especially with the robes. Yeah, definitely some of these weapons are a bit too 40K for me, but I can see that in particular. I really like that standard. I really like this body and this. Yeah, okay. There's actually some interesting things here. Could be a conversion set for some more corn-focused marauders if you didn't want some of the sketchy-looking things. Yeah, Alexander, I agree with you. That banner would look great for AOS. Would Khorne have tactical skulls? Yeah, actually, there should be some tactical skulls and some tactical blood rivers. It's all good, Jack. We'll sort you out with the headphones. Boo 40K, but more importantly, yay, it's getting out of the way. So hopefully the rest of it is all the great AOS stuff and the Warcry stuff, and we can have a Gits party. That would be nice. The preview picture is super obvious with clear mushrooms. Yeah, that must be something that's not Gits.
And I'm back.
You back? Jack's with me. Anything you want to say on the corn? I know you were trying to sort yourself out with the headphones, but
Like
there's some
again,
cool cultist looking pieces.
Yeah, as like as not a 40K player, I think they look great. But I'm easy to please, and so I guess the original guys like the 8-fold or whatever they're the top half. I think they could have done better, I guess. But these look like great. I think they might make alternate sculpts for Blood Reavers if you do some weapon swaps. But I'm curious as somebody who's going to be playing this army, curious to see what they're going to do.
Nice Lord on Juggernaut. Again, something that a dynamic pose. Actually, who was it? Matt made a really good comment too. One of them could be a really great Slaughter Priest conversion, especially if you're running Mortal Khorne and having multiples of them. That dude with the massive, like, some nice conversion pieces here.
Indeed. Nice. Good to have a new Juggernaut model.
Yes.
And they keep the same sort of, it's not drastically different. So he'll fit right in if you have Blood Crushers or Blood Skull Crushers. And you just switch the riders for the Finecast model. That is the Herald of Juggernaut.
I tell you what, I'm putting in a pre-order. It just happened an hour ago. The old Archaon model, the old Archaon on horse. If you wanted to replace the Lord on here and you thought this was a bit too 40K, you could actually replace I'm thinking about that, actually. I'm thinking about like him on that old Archaon on this is the demonic mount. That actually might not look too bad. Or obviously, I have to look at the base. Juggernauts on fire. I think the chat generally agrees with us. Like, this is, if you're a 40K player, this is great, good for you. As an Age of Sigmar player, it's fine. Although there's some really good conversion pieces and some things that you could possibly borrow, whether it is just removing the weapons and some of that 40K-esque type things. But
honestly, like a head swap and remove the backpack and change the weapons, and you got a Chaos Lord right there.
Order a second one now. Yeah, very possible. Very possible. I'll get. Actually, Age of something. Yeah, a Khorne themed Chaos Lord on Karkadrak. That's sexy. That's really cool. How are we going with the stream?
Bring up a skull to a World Eater Space Marine who is paying no heed.
Did you say you were starting up Khorne?
Yeah. So this is the army I will play in 40K. Like eventually, I've played a couple games. Like but I had one of the worst experiences. And I learned this early in my AOS days. Like if you're teaching someone the game, almost like let them win. Like I was trying to learn the game in 40K, and my opponent was trying to beat me, and it was just like I don't want to. Like it made me appreciate double turns though, because I was playing demons and he was playing Grey Knights, which turns out that's a really bad matchup. He went first, shot me up a bunch. I moved forward, and then he finished me off with shooting. And I was like, "Oh, if I got the double turn, that'd have been great."
That's right. They don't have the double turn. It's one of the things that seems like you talk to 40K people, and they're like, "I hate the double turn." Yeah. And here you are going, "Man, if I got the double turn, I would have won."
It was like it made me appreciate it. It did. I was like, "Oh, it can like help out if your army is a little struggling a little bit."
Yeah. No, look, I love what they're doing. I tell you what, though, one thing from 40K while we're talking about it is kind of threw me off was it wasn't long ago they had the Chaos Demon collection, right? And I thought I was pretty confident outside of the leaks. I'm like, yeah, Legion of the First Prince will get changed a little bit, but it won't be like still be demon focused. Boy, oh boy, was I wrong there.
Ooh, yeah,
was I wrong?
Yeah, my buddy Mason, who joined the channel recently, he commissioned a demon Legion of the First Prince army, and that's now just it's not a thing. And I feel like sort of bad, like not really bad because I didn't like that army, but it's like, dang, that sucks.
Look at that bloodthirster. Yeah, is that Archaon?
It's Engron. But it's like you can see they use the same sort of like the wing things are from the bloodthirster. Which is kind of older model, but it looks cool.
No, I like it. I like it a lot. Although that weird robot thing in the just changed just then. But all right, looks like World Eaters is the big focus at the moment.
Indeed.
I do like red though. I do like red.
For sure.
It's an AOS bloodthirster, is it?
I'm looking at this stuff. It looks cool, but I don't want to paint this stuff. I'm like, I don't want to play 40K. But I promised somebody I would.
No, I was looking at I think it was Chris Peach. I was looking at one of his particular photos, and he'd converted Sisters of Battle in like the kill team into Sisters of Sigmar, the old Mordheim warband.
Yeah.
And like because that was used to be like a little nunnery of Mordheim, and it looks so good. And I'm seeing a couple of people, I think Age of Something, that also have. Oh, we are getting close to the second reveal. And this is why I was saying, folks, there is no schedule, right? We don't know. It just depends on when they shut up and we can keep talking.
First Millennium shortly with more information. But let's just take a little bit of a detour, perhaps into the mortal realms.
Oh, here we go.
So for a while now, people have been wondering what the next battle tomes coming up for Warhammer Age of Sigmar are. Next on the horizon is Chaos Battle Tome Beasts of Chaos.
Nice.
What can people expect?
Improved stat lines, basically conglomerating everything together. You've got Sangors, you've got all your different beast herds, Gravespawn, Quake Fray, everything like that. It's all been sort of updated for Age of Sigmar 3rd edition, and it's all packed into this battle tome.
Incredible. And I suppose, like every beast herd, they need somebody to lead them.
Indeed.
All right, Jack.
Did not see that coming.
Well, aside from the video being absolutely amazing and very funny.
Oh, so what do we think? Wow. Who saw that coming?
Well, I didn't see that coming. I was convinced it's towards the end of the year. Interesting if there's more releases for the models, because there's a lot of flying cast in that range, a lot of old stuff. But yeah, did not see that coming. I just text my buddy who I gave a bunch of Beasts of Chaos to. I'm like, hey, I might need that back.
Right, so we got a rule change they've already showed off here, right? So if this unit's within 3 inches of any enemy heroes, add 1 to hit rolls and wound rolls for attacks made by melee weapons by friendly Beasts of Chaos units while they are wholly within 12 inches of this unit. So I remember this change. I remember there was a change in, it used to get reroll ones, I think, if I remember correctly. Then the Broken Realms Be'lakor, I think, changed it to be like what you see above there. And it was a bit like meh. Exploding 6s on a little squishy hero. Now you're getting a nice little synergy bubble, giving +1 to hit and wound. Jack, what does that mean? Is that massive for the troops?
It's cool. Like I always think about +1 to hit is not like that important because you can give that to yourself. But save a command point and wholly within 12. It's nice. I do like because I like the old one.
So
always.
Gloomspite have not been forgotten, and a battle tome revising all of their rules and giving you all of the Gloomspite goodness that you could possibly hope for is near on the horizon.
And hero,
there's been a bit of a stat increase for a lot of the gits, I believe.
Yes, yeah. So I've heard that they've been, I believe the word is buffed in a few different ways. So it should be good to see. But of course, the thing that everybody gets excited about is, are there any models coming for the battle tomes and that sort of thing?
Spiders.
And yes, there are from a somewhat surprising quarter. Raph, show us what's coming.
Well, Wolf Riders.
Oh, okay.
Hey.
Okay.
So these are the Snarlfang Ride
All right. So we had the Snarlfang Warband, Jack.
Yeah.
on the horizon.
70-point, great investment because they're a nice little skirmishing unit. But let's unpack this. What did we just see? We saw Beast of Chaos and we saw Gloomspike Gits.
Yeah. I definitely Beast of Chaos I did not see coming. I think Gets kind of like curious. Like the wolves are cool. I like the new Doom Wolves. What are they called? Yeah, Doom Wolves for Soulblight. What are they called?
The Die Wolves.
Dire Wolves. Yes, these kind of remind me of that kind of sculpt, and I really love those. So I like that. The guys on top, it's like the almost evolution of Grots in AOS compared to like the old Night Goblin models. So cool. Interesting.
Well, these are not goblins. These are not grots. These are if they go back against the old lore, they were more what they used to be called hobgrots.
Hobgoblins.
So,
yeah, but the hobgoblins have been like taken over by the hobgrots, right? That are for
yes.
So
it'd be interesting to see if these are grot keyworded, if they are more of a hobgrot type of or hobgoblin as they used to be called. But I'm surprised they're not doing anything with the spiders, the spider fang, considering they're like a 7th edition, quite old, very out of date. But these are cool. These are definitely one thing we've needed.
And it seems like they're not so they're not the moon guys and they're not the spider guys. They're just regular old grots.
So you'll have your Gloomspite side, which is the Squigs and the goblins. You've got your Trog side, you've got your Spider Fang side. I guess now they've built out another arm, which is going to be we got a rule here: add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by the slavering jaws. If there's more than 1 wound allocated on it. So it's kind of like the Alapex. The Alapex gets a little bonus if it goes into combat with something that's already wounded.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. It's an interesting thing because it's wounded. So say you have a unit of 10, something with 1 wound, 10 hobgrots, and 1's dead, you wouldn't get the +1 to hit. It's only for multi-wound units.
Which is what the shark used to be, if I remember correctly. The very first. We got the.
What's coming next? And here is a sense of it. Obviously, the army box for Slaves of Darkness has recently dropped.
Yep.
I saw Charles in my office excitedly opening his. I think it was Wednesday. Beasts of Chaos New on Horizon. Gloomspike Gits coming in fast behind. In the spring, there will be 5 more battle tomes following up. There's an Order battle tome followed by 2 Chaos battle tomes and then 2 Death battle tomes. And so you're in for like a 6 months of just fantastic releases, all for the Mortal Realms.
So we probably know what Death's going to be. Yeah. They're the obvious ones. That's Soulblight and OBR.
Yeah, unless they're going to add a new branch, but I couldn't even think of anything. So yes,
Chaos is obvious.
Flesh Eater Court.
Of course. Oh yeah, Flesh Eater Court.
I would say Flesh Eater Court and Flesh Eater Courts and OBR, and then Slaanesh
and Soulblight. Soulblight was a 2nd edition book. It doesn't have battalions and grand strats in it.
But I think it's the newest. It was the last book, I think, right? And so I think they, it still feels, it was like almost, people would say it felt like it was 2nd and a half edition. And so I think it will be Flesh Eater Courts and OBR, and then maybe Khorne Slaanesh in Order. Ooh, I don't know. I think the last Order book will be that Dawnbringer Crusade, though.
All right, I need 7 of these. Jack, line me up.
Ooh, this looks good.
Yes, please.
Ooh,
Yes, please.
that's amazing.
Yes, please.
Oh, I want to ask you a question. When was the last
go.
time you played Underworlds?
Not since first edition. I played it in first edition, and I found I got out of sequence too quickly with all the cards. Like the cards were constantly changing, and because I wasn't invested enough to be buying all the warbands, I found it became unenjoyable. It wasn't the casual game that I wanted for half an hour, bash it out. I don't have an Age of Sigmar game, or maybe my game finished early at the club and we have a pickup game of Underworlds.
Yeah. Every time I see Underworlds, I'm just like, what did they do in Age of Sigmar?
Fantastic.
And so,
Yeah. I want to go back to that conversation we were kind of having. Like, by the way, these are awesome, and I obviously, I want to see what their Age of Sigmar War Scroll looks like. I love obviously the slingshot squig there.
Yeah.
There's so much personality. There's the
I love the darts, the mushroom dart gun. That's really good.
Well, you got the other guy with like the squig on a stick. I love this whole warband. This is amazing. You'll get 7 sales out of me immediately.
Yep.
But let's go back to I want to talk about the because we got rudely interrupted by Games Workshop.
Yeah.
You had the battle tomes, right? We had an order battle tome, we had 2 chaos, and we had 2 death. So what do you think of the death ones?
So OBR and Flesh Shooter Courts, because I think they're kind of due. I do like Flesh Shooter Courts with the muster and stuff. They're fun. But definitely I've had a couple friends who play OBR and they kind of stopped playing because they didn't really like their updates and stuff. And so, so I think for the death. What about, what do you think for the chaos?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's obvious, right? If we've got Beasts of Chaos announced, are the only 2 books not announced are now Khorne and Slanesh?
Yeah, lay up. So,
yeah, because we've had Skaven, we've had obviously Beasts of Chaos, we've had Slaves to Darkness. There's no other chaos that we're missing, right?
Zinch Nurgle, yeah.
Yeah, which then begs the question, what is the order book? And I could try to piss everyone off and tell them I think it's a Lumineth book with Tyrion.
Ooh, so yeah, we've had KO. There we go.
You think it's KO?
Yeah.
I'll go Seraphon.
Ooh, yeah.
I'll say to Seraphon cleanup. Jacob Berry mentioning the Ripper Snarlfang also have the same rule of +1 to hit with the fangs on the targets for any wound. Yeah, nice. And it does have a shooting attack. It's got some of them that do shoot, so they can shoot, do some damage, and then charge in and get some nice boosts.
So was that kit like you can build them as archers or spear guys, or like was it integrated?
The Ripper Snarlfang, which is the Underworld's warband, it just naturally has, I think 2 of them has a missile weapon attack.
Oh, okay. I thought they shared a war scroll of the wolves we talked about. Okay.
I'd have to look at the Warcom article and have a look to see do they have both? Do they just got one? Is it a multi-kit build? People thinking Dawnbringers. I think Dawnbringers is too close. I would not. I think at least 6 months. I think maybe after what we've seen.
Yeah, because the end of the year book was an order one. I think that will be Dawnbringers, and I think because I thought Dawnbringers was going to be something totally new, like outside of Cities of Sigmar, until the last article, how much it said Cities of Sigmar, and I was like, oh, I think this is just going to be like a connected thing.
So my hypothesis is that it's going to be like Stormcast, where you have the Storm Keep and you have the Signs of the Storm. And if you are the offensive type of, aggressive Cities of Sigmar, you are the Dawnbringers, right? They're going out into the mortal realms. They're trying to claim land for Sigmar. If you're on the defensive and, you maybe have more artillery and shooting, you might go into the cities, which is naturally defending Sigmar's forts. That's what I'm hoping anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds great. Somebody said, where are the...
Do you have any thoughts on how Dawnbringer cities might work?
I just hope they. I don't think they'll get rid of anything and that's selfishly, like I have a lot of old, I'm painting crossbow guys right now, so I don't want them to get rid of any of that. But I yeah, hopefully, yeah, it's just a sub faction, but I think it might be its own book. Either I haven't thought too much on it.
Cool. All right, that was different.
So, how?
So that was a Cawdor warband or whatever gang. Yeah, there you go. There you go. We got the Cawdor Ridge Walkers. While they're talking 40k for a second in Necromunda, and we can talk about that in a minute, Gareth posed a really good question that I want to acknowledge here. So if 5 books are in the spring, right, and we got a book at the end of the year, what else is left? So, you know, whether it is, I mean, regardless of what order army it's going to be, there's going to be at least what we got? We've got Seraphon, we've got KO, we've got Cities / Dawnbringers. Any other order armies that need to be updated? I mean, Daughters have a book. Lumineth have their book. Stormcaster got their book. I'm trying to think, is there anyone else that's missing a?
I think, you know, people joke about Lumineth, but Stormcast usually gets 2 books per edition, and I want to shoot in the hero phase with reinforced units again. I think the game would be fine if they give that back to me. Yeah, you saying Seraphon really made me think that's what it's going to be. But
well, I think
sorry.
Go on, continue.
I think Seraphon is going to come with a big relaunch and get rid of a lot of stuff. And so that many books in one kind of season, that I don't think anything's going to get a lot of new models and stuff.
Well, I think Gareth has made an interesting point, right? With the Broken Realms, which is those 4 or 5 narrative books that had some updates to the rules. They introduced new models like an updated Be'lakor. It gave us Dexessa and Sinessa, and it gave us, you know, the expansion. And, you know, I'm seeing in the chat here, you know, Beasts of Chaos only got 1 model. You know, Ogre's got 1 model. A lot of these books that have gotten released outside of, say, Nighthawk and Sylvaneth, who got multiple new kits, a lot of armies only got 1 model. So, which begs the question, you know, is the update coming through a Broken Realms style campaign book? Gareth might be onto something.
Sure.
Yeah. Not AOS the End Times. No. Warhammer Fantasy people, you would love that, and then the old world gets relaunched. But I think it poses an interesting question around, you know, the Malarian army, you know, the Umbranth armies, the what are the Oathbreakers, the new Chaos Duarden.
Yeah, that's man. I think 2023 is just going to be another year of like status quo. I don't think we're going to get anything big as far as, and this is I have no reason to think this, but I think we're just going to get books, a few models, and then maybe 2024 is going to be a bigger year, like new edition, all that stuff.
See, you say that, but AOS had a quieter year on the model front this year than it had previously. And because 2021 we had a lot of really good model releases. This year it's been pretty light, and it begs the question, if 40k has 10th edition coming next year, they will go into a cycle of getting book updates like we had this year. So I wonder if it's again going to flip the script and we go back into updated kits and models and Broken Realms style expansion, and 40k goes through the aggressive codex update. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, pretty good. This is why I don't make predictions. I don't really think about it too much. But that middle chunk of all those books, it like, do you think that will be like broken up into like fall, summer, or just because there was 3 regions. It was spring or winter, spring, and then
summer.
Yeah. And so, do you think that 5 books is going to be 1 season?
So I think once we get through the season, once we get through those extra books they've kind of showed us, as Bear's mentioning, And Gareth asked earlier, what happens next? And if we only have a couple of battle tomes to update, what fills the AOS space? I think maybe a campaign style, maybe, I don't know, maybe do they launch an Armageddon where they have mass battles, an option to play? You know, what do they do other than just updating and releasing new kits? And I guess with Heresy as well and the old world coming, who knows? Who knows? That's my prediction anyway. Some expansions through a Broken Realm series. Absolutely, I'd back that.
Malign Portents too. That would be good.
Jack's useful enthusiasm gives me hope.
Yeah. That's what I try to do. Positivity.
Yeah, that's it, right? There's the, as Flamingo Pie mentioned, 8 armies still need a 3rd edition book. But let's not, we've already seen Lumineth get revisited too, right? What's not to, what we got here? Oh, another 40k. Let's throw them some charity. So speaking of campaign books, this looks like a campaign book.
3 of them.
So obviously 40k campaign book.
Yeah. Well, they're the big brother. They get the most stuff. They're the favorite kid. So of course they're going to get really cool stuff. When we got the, Broken Realms, we had to wait. They get 3 books at once.
But we could argue that Broken Realms could have been delayed a little further to play through that space. It was very aggressive. It was get it out of the way quickly before 3rd edition.
I wasn't serious. Yeah, but yeah, this is cool. Again, don't play 40k. So I like when, they give people who play the game stuff. Hopefully they will be happy about it, because I've noticed people like to complain about 40k, but people like to complain about Age of Sigmar as the community grew bigger and bigger and bigger. What's going to happen if you get more popular? Yeah, but Angrong, that's the guy I'm going to play. So I would probably have to get that book.
But as Obsidian Crane is mentioning, the campaign book that leads to the end of 9th edition, and they've used those books in the past to launch new kits, for armies that aren't getting a new codex / battle tome, right? So it's a way to advance the story. And I wonder, and I don't know about you, Jack, but I know when I was reading the Broken Realms series, I felt like once 3rd edition had launched, there was space for another couple of books to continue the narrative. I felt like at least 1, if not 2 more books could have been a part of that series. And I wonder if there will be more campaign books like this. I think, I don't know. It's a way for them to monetize rule updates and introduce new models outside of a battle tome update.
Yeah, I'm just more of I wait and see. I think it's I've heard it's less planned out than we think, and I've heard it's more planned out than we think. So I try not to and you're a wrestling fan, I'll use this analogy. So I try not to become a mark and try to figure out their backstage stuff, and I don't know who the wrestler is married to in real life and what all that stuff. I just watch the show, right? And so I just what they present me. I'm like, okay, cool, and then I play with it. I'm not this rule's broken and whatnot.
I'm going to force your hand then. James Love asking a great question. It's not even a question. I'm going to ask you as a question. Do you think we'll see more Cronspines, whether it's in Gur or a completely different realm, knowing that the Cronspine was created through the winds of magic of Alariel that crossed through the realm of life into the realm of destruction, the realm of beasts? Do you think there's other Cronspines?
Yes, I think we will all see incarnates from different realms. I do hope they speed it up a little bit, because I didn't realize we'd be in Gur this long. So maybe a year, then we go to the next. There's 8 mortal realms. That's a lot to go through. I think they will be cognizant in the future of how much it can affect the game. And so I think they'll make them less powerful going on, where it's just not, because it was at some point, even though this was the season I kind of took off, it was the Purple Sun Cronspine show. You just saw it everywhere. Nobody wants to play, it's fun to see, but it gets repetitive. So hopefully they're like almost, you can take them, but it's like almost a side grade to what you normally would take.
Something that we saw with Lumineth, going back to the battle tome discussion we were kind of having before again 40k rudely interrupted us. Do you see a world where maybe one of those next order battle tomes could be Stormcast? Given there was a joke that it was like 6 to 12 months and it was like a new book every time, and Stormcast has kind of broken away from that.
Like personally, I hope maybe the next, because there's so much stuff in Stormcast, I almost want like a Horus Heresy schism in Stormcast where like the next book will be Hammers of Sigmar, or so it becomes Stormcasty a little bit, but Space Marine a little bit, where it's like these things are broken up, but there's so much in there. And as a Stormcast player, there's so much stuff that's sitting on my shelf that like if it gave me other options, I'd like. But I don't think it's going to be that. I think there's too many books to go, and they had just got one. And so I'm not sure what they would change, because they're pretty good now about updating rules quickly. Like, okay, you don't like this? We'll get rid of that. You don't like this? We'll get rid of that. Oh, this needs to be more powerful. And I think they changed the Stormcast that way rather than a new book.
I've got two theories or two lingering thoughts about this. So in addition to what you said about, breaking up the, the hammers and the hallowed knights and making them a bit more like static, you've got Thunderstrike armor, and do you start to see the models being replaced of old Stormcast into a new Thunderstrike? ? The other part as well would be, do you start seeing more heroes being launched outside of hammers? Because most of the heroes are hammers. You don't see a lot of heroes outside of, like, Gardas was on the first. Whoop, another release.
Demons and demonic entities in the warp are formed from coalesced emotions and drives of mortal creatures. We understand the greater gods of chaos to be formed from some of those primal mortal emotions, and Vashtor has been formed from the desire to create and manipulate and invent, to make things that didn't already exist. Vashtor wants to become a god. Vashtor is already considered a demigod, an independent demon within the realm of chaos. He is the arms dealer, the weapons broker of the great game that takes place between the chaos gods. So he's independent, he is too vital and valuable to any of them to risk attacking, but he wants more. So in the Vashtor
model,
miniature,
Jack?
we see an
Looks
expression
like it. Merchant of Death sounds like.
in the demons of the greater chaos gods. He is a demon of the Forge of Souls, a demon of machinery, of invention, and everything that we've associated with the obliterators, demon engines, that flesh metal fusion of the technological and the organic, you can see in Vashtor. When he assumes a physical form like demons do to enter the material universe, Vashtor makes a form from machine parts and sacrificial meat, and that is what you see represented in the Vashtor miniature. We see Vashtor's armed with a hammer, which is the hammer of the Forge of Souls. And a hammer is a tool that can make things, it can destroy things. But that's different to what we've seen on demon princes. Vashtor's not a demon prince. He's not been elevated from the ranks of mortals to become a champion of one of the Chaos Gods. He is his own creation. And the fact that he's got that unique armament, I think, speaks to something of his character. Vashtor is a demon of the Forge. He's born aloft on a cloud of polluted smoke and steam. He emanates foundry heat and crackling electric.
This is amazing. Like him talking about it.
Not carrying him aloft in the manner of a bird. They're probably fine tools for precise mechanical engineering as much as they are actually wings. They're a symbol of his status and a sign of his ambition to become something greater than he might already be. So Vashtor has formed an alliance with Abaddon. Abaddon has huge temporal power, mortal power in the material universe. Vashtor has significant power within the realm of chaos, and together they can forge something that will allow Vashtor to pursue his goals of becoming a god and allow Abaddon to pursue his ambitions of securing his dominion of the Imperium Nihilus.
So chat's making some references, and we do have, again, Gareth was in the chat earlier. Gareth's talking now, who actually was in attendance to the live stream, was that perhaps he's going to be a bit of an incarnate style, be able to use in multiple chaoses. And I know it's not what Gareth said there, but I'm seeing some interesting chat there that it absolutely was a cracking video. Again, I'm not a 40k person, but love the sculpt, love the introduction, and this is the type of model that would get me into 40k. Like that's very cool.
I love the intro they had, like him, the voiceover. I thought it was really cool. This is, again, like not a 40K player. I might want to bring this into something. Age of Sigmar, I think I would probably head swap it. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of the eyes and the mouth, but it's really cool.
It's interesting, actually. The first thing I thought about was the head taking this head and putting it onto the new Demon Prince model, going, I wonder what that would look like. But to close out a comment, by the way, like I was mentioning Stormcast and things like that, you know, they don't need more heroes. Like that was obviously, you're like, wait a second, you got like a million heroes. But what I think I want is Stormcast to have more useful heroes, where if you do have a bit more of like a space where hammers and anvils and all the, you know, the different, you know, Tempest Lords, they've got their own little space, and it makes them unique, and it actually drives you to use them, as you said, you know, Space Marine chapter almost. I don't want to go there too far. You get a real good use of those heroes, because you listen to that internal balance discussion from MetaWatch. Like what 1/3 of the War Scrolls in the Stormcast book get used in match play. So there's 2/3 of those models that are just not being used. I want a good reason to use them. And outside of just making them powerful, I think there's some really good interplay you could possibly do through the sub factions, the Storm Keeps and things like that.
Definitely. And they just want, you know, give people a reason to use all their toys, rather than like, you know, people have gotten the Gabriel Sherhart treatment, where like there's no really reason to take this guy. So now you put him on the shelf, like make him like at least sort of viable.
No, I don't think, Decker, I don't think this is the right size for a Soul Grinder. This looks too small. Soul Grinders are massive. I suppose if you cut the torso off, it might be the same torso size, I guess, if you just use torso on top of a Soul Grinder. But I think if you wanted this to be just your only part of the Soul Grinder, that's a massive, like 160 pie plate. It's huge.
And it's a big piece. Yeah.
Yeah, I think people generally think this is a cool model. Let's do a reveal show like this for AOS. Yeah, I would love some more. Give me some of the. That's you. I don't know why I'm acknowledging you in the chat.
So I think there's like the last thing I couldn't really figure out which was. I called it the Moose Marine, where it looked like a Chaos Marine with antlers on the back. So I'm curious to see if because we're not done yet, or is it done?
The stream.
Yeah.
This is Vashtor appearing.
They're still going, so I guess they're talking more of the lore of Vashtor.
So is it like, as a non-40K player, is this a new guy they added, or has he been in the lore for like years?
I guess if we listen and read the article, he either's been in the lore and just hasn't been a part of. I'm clearly making this up. I have no idea. So either been in the lore and they're fleshing it out, or it's a new introduction to. It's new. James
Okay.
Love is telling us it's a new hero, which is awesome.
Yeah. Again, cool model. Curious to see the rules, but you know, I wouldn't understand the rules, but like my head goes, how would I make this into a 40K Demon Prince, or you know, something in Chaos? Looks more Slave of the Darkness than like Slanesh or something, so I'd probably put it in there.
Going back to Beasts of Chaos, right? Like we didn't get to properly talk about it.
Definitely.
If you do you play Beasts of Chaos, or is that something that frequents on re-rolling ones often?
So Beasts of Chaos is like army that I want to play. Like I've owned it multiple times, but I've like either sold it or traded it, just because it's such a daunting task to paint all that stuff. Because not only are you painting what you're starting on the table with, you have a sideboard that you got to summon and all that stuff, and it's just it is like, but it's like it's near and dear to my heart, because I played Beastmen back in the 90s, and like when that book came out, and it was the first army I actually started winning consistently with. So I want to play it someday. Them showing that one model, like you mentioned earlier, that's probably all they're going to get. And there is a lot of stuff in that army that kind of, you know, fine cast or older stuff that you're like, I'd like something new. But hopefully they will, you know, make the army not what it is currently, where it's all that rend, but also good.
So let me ask you then, you've segued perfectly into Beasts of Chaos. What would you want to see outside of like models? Obviously, if there's no models, I don't want to say this is the only thing that stops you. Maybe it is. But outside of that, is there anything that you'd want to see from the Beast of Chaos release that would get you more inclined to play it or to go a little bit harder into the plan of expansion?
Well, Beast of Chaos is one of those anytime you play like a horde army, right? That's like you have to understand that's the kind of army you're going to play. And so when I realized personally that's not what I like. Like I played Gloomspite once and it was just lots of grots. I'm like, I'm not enjoying this because I'm moving too much. I like to be over quick. I like it to win quick or lose quick. And I don't think Beast of Chaos is that way. But I think they'll probably, because that's kind of their theme. That's how they play. Lots of stuff, summoning, and and that's kind of how they are on lore, like wild. So I think they'll probably stick to that, which means I might not play it. But hopefully it's like can be like almost not Gloomspite Gets, but Orc War Clans where you have those, maybe you can go Dragon Ogres, you go this pet route, Iron Jaws, or just Brayherd this route, or Bulgor this route, kind of like they do now. And I could play Warherd or something in limited model count.
Yeah, I think Matt from Canada, great player, was mentioning here. The generic rules are great, but some of the sub factions. I actually felt that when you look at the Thunder Scorn, you look at the Gave Spawn, you look at all the different types. All of the sub factions are a bit meh, which ultimately leads to what Jacob's saying is that it becomes a big soupy game because you don't have a real focus on building a particular part. Like you never see someone go full heavy on like Bulgors or Dragon Ogres, or you don't see that. It's always just this mix of soup, which can be fun for some people, but I think most people like to have a theme and somewhere to focus on, and doing that. As Jacob said, it's slow, the attrition game's exhausting, and it only meets a certain type of person. Some people just want to run Sidegore and Gorgon and just run down the table and smash like a Suns player, but they don't play like that. Having more incentive to run Bulgor and Bonds of Battle, I think, was a great start. No, actually, no. Have they got too many? Are they 4 wounds or 5? They're 4. They're 4 wounds. So they could do bonds. Yeah. Anyway, I'd like to see it a little bit less soupy. I'd love to see them a little bit more focused. Maybe not as many model heavy. I think. Yeah.
Well, I've said this before. Like, especially going to competitive, realizing like competitive is not the only thing that this game's for. But like I think it's the competitive player's responsibility to bring an army that will finish in time. And like I think Beast of Chaos can be one of those armies, not as bad as Soulblight, but that doesn't finish in time. There's so many models, but so if you're like a competitive build that doesn't like have models everywhere, because it just takes time to move, and it's not the player's fault. That's just what the army does.
Also, having this a massive side summoning board as well can be prohibitive to a new player, because you're not just picking up the army that you want to run. It's also now bringing in the Chaos Dogs. You've got like a massive sideboard that can be challenging, which I guess is a part of the army, but
it's for people who like travel with it, like traveling with all that extra stuff that you may use.
Yeah, I think Jacob, again, acknowledging Jacob here, great comment. It's like they are strong, but with a lot of moving parts, it can be quite exhausting to track. They're fun, and I love playing against Beast of Chaos, but as a Gloomspite Gits player who has a very similar play style, it is super taxing, and it does take up a lot of time, and the wins can be a grind. At least they've got some updates to the kits, but I'd love to see a way to go a bit more elite outside of just spamming Dragon Ogres.
Mm-hmm.
Lotzi, yes, they did announce Gloomspite Gits and Beast of Chaos are the next 2 battle tomes, which is going to be great. So just in the winter, I think it's quote unquote. And then we know that there are 5 extra battle tomes coming. They didn't tell us what they were other than just 2 death, 2 chaos, 1 order. And no destruction, because after Gloomspite Gits, destruction is now, all of destruction's got a 3rd edition book.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jack, is there anything you'd want to say to summarize? I mean, if anyone wants to see more, they can go onto Warhammer Community, where there's now individual articles, and you can see any more of those models. How would you summarize the stream? Would you?
I like the new models they've shown. We kind of knew Gits was going to get something. Beast of Chaos was a big surprise. Did not see that coming. I like the new, like, what was it, the Beast Lord. Hopefully there'll be more kits. They're saying, no, not saying that there won't be, but them showing that one, usually they kind of blam all over the place and show you everything. So probably just the wolves and the little hero. So hopefully the book, you saw a lot of people giving them grief because Gits didn't get a Tome Celestial. So hopefully that will be off Twitter, Dale. But now it will be just, hey, Destruction has all their stuff. You guys can have fun. And then, I liked everything.
This is a battle box right there. Slanesh versus Khorne. That is the one that I would love to see. Like, that has to be a release.
They've already done that, right?
Slanesh Khorne?
Yeah, they've done that battle box before. Yeah. It was like the Enrapturous, Enchantress. Might have been a 40K one, but it was Slanesh Khorne. But yeah, I'm still for it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I think, look, like, was it a great stream for AOS in general? Not necessarily. I don't think, if you're a general fan, I don't think there was a lot there. I think there definitely could have been some more for Gloomspite Gits and for Beast of Chaos. There was a lot of multi-reveals in the 40K space and the Necromunda space. Great kits, but they said, there's a lot of rule updates, which makes me, like you said, makes me wonder if it's just going to be 1 or 2 minor kit updates and nothing more. And maybe AOS gets more love the minute 40K goes into 10th edition.
I would say it wasn't great, but it was good. We know the Battle Tome's coming out. We know we have we didn't have this before. We know what is coming out next year. All the books that are coming out. And so we can predict and everything, but we know what we're getting. And I think they did that beginning of this year. And I still like that. I'm not going to move on to the next thing. I still think that's really cool.
Obsidian, you've nailed it there. The 2 things that I wanted out of this stream, or one of the 2, is I wanted to either see a preview of the new General's Handbook, or I wanted to see a roadmap into 2023. And that was what I really wanted. If Gits came out, awesome. I was expecting an Underworld's Warband at best, but I really wanted to see the roadmap now that we've gotten to the point of chaos. It's like, what's coming next? And if I'm a hobby hero, if I've got some plans for Armies on Parade, what might I possibly be thinking about? And at least now I know that when things are coming out and when and why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm excited for the future, and I'm excited for Beast of Chaos. I'm excited for the Gits players. I just gave James Love all my Gits, so I don't have to pay anything. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, and hopefully in time they update more of the fine cast. And by the way, Wrath and Rapture was the Khorne Slanesh book. So thank you for everyone who jumped in that to Wrath and Rapture. Will I do a Gits community article? Maybe I need to message them and say, hey, look, I did a Gargant one a couple of years ago. Let's get me back on the meta watch. Let's talk the Gits meta. Yeah.
So hopefully, these books aren't too strong. They're just right, kind of in the middle. We don't have a bunch of ogres with cannons shooting everybody off the board. Just, they fit right in. People have fun with their toys.
Last question, and we'll wrap this up. This is a great stream. Thank you for everyone who chose to hang with us as opposed to whatever, like Games Workshop's Twitch stream or whatever. Hopefully we can chat more on Discord. There'll be a link below. If not, go check out another video. We can talk about reveals and factions and that stuff while Twitter burns and things like what's going on Twitter. Geez, there's a show on its own. But while I got you helped me start AOS 3 with this General's Handbook, right? We talked a lot about the General's Handbook and the battle plans. We're at the cusp of the end. What are you thinking, or what are you hoping the next General's Handbook focus on? Whether is it a map? Is it a set of rules? This was meant to be the infantry meta, and it became the bounty hunter meta. What's your hopes moving into the next book?
I hope they keep some form of fighting in 2 ranks with battle line or just troops like that. I really actually like that, but get rid of bounty hunters and things like that. I think they will jump around, and so this one might be magic. So a magic focus where we had monsters, we had infantry. Next is magic, because endless spells, they're all pretty good right now. So
the rumors going around is that it's all going to be about sub commanders, about these minor foot troops, which, other people have put out rumors around cavalry meta, which I think is complete garbage. Like, 1/3, like 1/20th of people have actual cavalry. It's like saying we're going to go into an artillery meta with like 5 versions of cannons.
So it's like it's remember all the rumors that didn't happen. Remember when Fire Slayers and KO were supposed to get their own like combined book, and Vampirates, that was supposed to be a thing, and Chaos Doors were supposed to come out this year. I just like when they show me, that's when I'm like, cool.
I would love to see, the focus on sub commanders, because one thing that you look over the fence on 40K and there's a rule that a sub commander cannot be targeted by an attack if they're within like 3 inches or 6 inches of a set of troops, right? And I would love, there's too much hero power sniping of those 5 wound, 6 wound heroes, which is why we've seen what we've seen, the heavy monster hero meta, and people have really pulled back on minor heroes. I'd love to see Magic. Yes, that would make me so happy, is that we go into like a Magic style meta and then they release Khorne, and Khorne's just like, no soup for you. Collars of Khorne, wards to everything, and they become the new big bad guy. That would be sweet. And hey, release some new endless spells. I'm surprised they haven't released a new set of endless spells yet.
Yeah, totally. I'm surprised like more people haven't got like faction terrain. Like faction terrain, people like it or not, or generic faction terrain. I think they explored that once in the was it Forbidden Power thing, where they had that one. Just little things you can try out. And so, yeah, I'm excited for the future.
Yeah, as Matt said, there's too much long range shooting at the moment that can pick off support heroes, and enough mortal wound spiking to actually, to ignore the -1 penalty and like look out, sir. So having some new rules, that would be sweet. And yeah, I agree. I don't think cavalry meta is ever going to happen, but I think there's definitely some type of. I mean, look, we go actually and try infantry meta again. Like let's go take 2 without bounty hunters. Or we could go into, who knows, maybe we go back to monsters. Maybe we go back to 3rd edition when we started off with the monster meta.
I'd be like, what are all the options though? Like you have the small heroes, you have monsters, artillery, like wizards. Like it's not like shooting. Hey, I love shoot. Hey, if you shoot over 10 inches, you get +1 to rend. Does that sound good for everybody else?
I mean, they could change. They could change the way we build that list too, right? They could drop reinforcement points. They could remove some of the limits, or maybe increase some of the limits, that maybe there's only, maybe you can have more minor heroes or less minor heroes, or maybe, you could go back to Warhammer Fantasy days where, you had to have 25% of your points spent on your, what is essentially now your battle line options. Like there's so many ways to manipulate outside of just like role architecture type.
Yeah. Yes. That is big. I didn't even think about that. It's like, oh, you can take 7 heroes. Or, you only need 2 battle line, things like that. That would just shake up the game. And like, if you don't like it, just don't use the GHB. Use the core book.
Yeah, everyone gets the free Conspine or 2, like a new Conspine meta. Jack, this has been a lot of fun. I think you and I could talk the amount, and look, reduce the amount of artillery pieces and fix iron blasters. Look, if I would love a focus on artillery and make the rocket battery in the cities of Sigmar great again. It's been a long time since that happened.
Definitely. Like that. The city's Sigmar artillery needs to be better. Artillery in general needs to be, besides the iron blasters, needs to be better. Like, because I'm like, oh, I'm going to take this. Nah, it's just not good.
Jack, here's time to promote yourself. If people haven't followed Jack, go to Rerolling Ones. They're about to crack 20,000 subs. They're like 19,200-ish. So you're on the final stretch of getting the 20K. What are you going to do when you hit 20K?
Turn on this monitor today, get some of this money, yo. Get into Patreon and all that stuff. No, I don't know. We'll have 20K. We appreciate everybody who subscribes, who watches our stuff. Even with the transition where we lost a couple people, gained some people. It's really like the community is my favorite thing. Like traveling to events and meeting people who dig what you do and like show you that love. That's what I do it for. And like, them sharing stories like, oh, I put you guys on when I go to sleep. And I'm like, oh, I do that to stuff. And so like having that, it's like, okay, I got to keep doing this. Because sometimes it's like, man, you have other things in life you got to like, but hey, I got to keep doing this. So yeah, go join us, watch our bat reps, tell us the stuff we got wrong. We're going to keep at it. And thanks, Coach, for inviting me on this.
No, thank you. And for anyone who wants to know what's coming up on the live stream, I have an interview. I'm very excited by this. I have Chris Peach coming. Peachy, the hobby hero himself, is going to be joining me on Friday, or on Thanksgiving. Actually, it works out for the Americans. So Thanksgiving, I'm going to show thanks by giving you Chris Peach, and we're going to talk about how do you convert an idea into an army. So how do you take a concept and convert, kit bash, paint, theme it, write a narrative, all of those things to create these ideas? Because I think we've all read a Black Library, a piece of lore, and we're like, I love this idea. How do I bring it to life? And if anyone has ever seen Chris Peach's hobby, he's got some incredible Daughters of Cain, Table for Warcry. He's done an amazing Cities of Sigmar army, like very wizardy type focus. It's beautiful. He's got so many different types. So like, how do you do that? And how do you take a simple idea and not blow your budget too? Like, how do you do this? And that's the chat.
That's cool because like I did that. Like I took a idea from a Black Library book. I think it was one of the audiobooks that they sold, and there was a corn warband that was in the desert, but the desert was made out of, like, it was blood, so it was red sands, right? And so I was like, oh, that's where my guys are from, and so that's why I have a corn army with bright red bases, because it was like I got inspired by a Black Library book.
No, I love it. And my Stormcast recently, I'd found I read a book years ago, the Cities of Sigmar. It was a city of Sigmar called Excelsius, which is one of the only cities in Gur, and it is protecting this shard of the old world called Malice. And I wanted to build like an offensive kind of Stormcast. It was like drawing on like the crusading Knights of Knights of Malta, or what is basically Black Templar lore, but actually medieval history. I wanted to bring that into the Stormcast without the religious iconography. It's more about how do I bring in this crusading Stormcast force that can help. And funnily enough, through the Broken Realm series, where we saw Kragnos come up together and unite the Destruction clans and go fight for Excelsius, it kind of perfectly tied into that. So I'm like, how do I bring that to life? And I've been pulling apart different things, and I think it's something that people want to do, and people want to make their army their own, but maybe don't quite know how to bring it to life, bring an idea to life. And that's the goal of the stream. So shake and bake. Love it. All right. Jack, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone who watched the stream, thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure. Jack joined 5 minutes before. I'm like, hey, Jack, do you want to join? He's like, yeah, man, I'm not doing nothing. So absolute
painting
pleasure.
crossbows. Yeah, just painting 30 crossbows for LVL.
Love it. Well, I'll see you in a couple of months, man. 2 months. 2 months to the day almost, and we'll be LVOing.
Yeah. See. Yep. Settlers game. Yep. See you guys soon.
All right. See you, Jack. Thanks, everybody. Thanks. Bye.
Yep.